Hi, I'm Sean. Welcome to the Love to Own Your Business podcast. Here, we grow businesses we love to own. Each month, we share great advice on how to do that, and also on how to avoid the pitfalls that make us love our business not so much. I recently read that the new post-COVID equivalent of the Hickey Freeman suit is a great video feed. I, like many others, also don't think that this is going to change anytime soon. And like the late adopters of the cell phone, who entered the 21st century kicking and screaming about boundaries and work life balance, they too will soon switch from their built in webcams and switch to some form of a modular video system. But if you're already in agreement, want the best video suit on the rack, but are just looking for a better way to sort through the noise of what, how much, and how to, our guest today can help. With us this month is good friend and fellow podcaster and the owner of vidwheel, Neil Carroll. Every day, he creates stress-free setups and content streams for the newly minted video content producer. Neil also backs this up by providing community to the new arrivals of the video scene through the vidwheel Creator Network. Hi, Neil. Welcome.
Oh, yeah. Hi. Hello. And the goal, of course, is stress-free setups, but,
Absolutely. You made mine stress-free, so I can definitely vouch for you. Shameless plug number one. We'll see how many we can get in through this.
Let's aim for 100.
100 shameless plugs. That's right. I could do 200 for you.
All right, great. Yeah, well, it's great to be here. Thanks, Sean, for having me on.
Oh,
I thought I would never get the invite,
No, you're always welcome. You can come every other week. You could be the house video person. What is it, like house band? What would be that? The house actor?
Yeah. I don't know. AV staff.
That's right. We'll put a byline on the end of this. All right. So why don't we start off, because I have a little tidbit of information. According to the Small Business Trends, a staggering 92% of small businesses have reinvented themselves during this, pandemic. And I know that we started talking about this, way last year. But why don't you tell us about how vidwheel started pivoting based on what you had been doing before and now? Because I think what you're doing now is extremely exciting.
Yeah, well, thank you. And prior to the pandemic, vidwheel was very much we tried to do some things differently, but you would definitely put us in the bucket of being a video production house. We would help companies kind of use video for marketing, sales, communication sort of stuff. We would produce everything, and we did a lot of travel, and we were often on site, which is where things really had to change. So we get hit with the lockdown like everybody else. I found that we couldn't do a lot of the things that we had been doing. We also had some staff changes and so on that added pressure to being able to produce. And so on top of all of that, we've got two little ones at home. So I ended up doing a lot more childcare with my more flexible job and little to do. And that was around the time where I decided that there were other avenues to explore. And it started with me offering out during that time when everybody was just trying to help each other out. I offered free webcam coaching sessions, which helped folks kind of look as good as they could with the gear that they already had in house. Because at that moment, you couldn't even buy a webcam online. And that kind of evolved into creating a kit that we started doing some remote shooting with clients, which then evolved into a kit similar to the one you and I are both on. And that started the Creator Network. So what I ended up doing was I thought, we have this kit and we could just send it to small business clients or clients who need this type of tech. But the support, I think, is where we really kind of created something a little bit different. So you mentioned that we created the network itself, which is built off of the Mighty Network software, and it's a kind of closed social media network that's online, and people can congregate there and chat and learn things and support each other. And then the kit, which I already mentioned, a lot of the members use that kit. So there's kind of a similarity in gear, and, it helps us as a company support people from a technical standpoint too. And then the third leg of that new product is unlimited consulting, which is an asset that really can be the difference maker for a lot of especially maybe companies that lack some of the confidence that you need to like really jump right into it. So you just set up as many video calls and email support as one needs, and we'll get you up and running with whatever your video ambitions are. So that was the pivot. The best way I usually describe it to folks now is we used to have people pay us because we could make better video than they could in-house. And now our goal is to empower businesses and individuals to make the best possible video that they can at their home or office.
Oh, absolutely. And it has been fantastic. And by way of my own example and some of my colleagues also that I know that have also come to you in the video feeds are incredibly better. It's exponentially better as far as what the webcam is, and just the tutelage that you give on how to make everything look right, sound right. But there, by way of example of my colleagues, it's also, there seems to be a lot of frustration about personal video feeds in general. So let's talk about this, and how do we sort of start chewing at the corners of making this a little bit of a higher priority for our folks.
Well, you mentioned the tailored suit, and that's Clark Dever likes to say that, who's around in our local community here as part of the startup scene and so on. The tailored suit reference works because people are going to be looking for ways to continue to differentiate themselves. And, as much as everybody wants to believe that the pandemic's over and we're all going to go right back to how it was, you're going to be in a lot more Zoom meetings for a long time to come here. And a lot of people are working remotely, working from home, moving to different areas because it's all about, flexibility and so on. So to differentiate yourself in that video stream, one of the best ways is to just add some quality to your video stream. If you and a competitor are side by side and you've got a real crisp, good looking, well lit, well framed video feed, and they're, looking at their laptop and it's coming up their nose and they're backlit and downlit, it's going to put you in a better light, quite literally. Right.
I agree. Yeah. It's big. It's the attention to detail, right? It's even if it's not on a conscious level, on a subconscious level, it works too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Don't underestimate that, right? Like it leaves a taste in your mouth when you, were to leave that meeting or something. So the advice I always give to people, the number one thing is to fill the frame, right? Like a lot of folks who are way back in frame and it really hurts their lighting, and the mic is having trouble picking up their sound, and if they're using a webcam, their webcam's having trouble getting a good image of them. You can fix all those problems by just getting close to your computer and filling the frame. Yeah, that's right. To an extent, you can fix them.
Talk to us a little bit about the vidwheel Creator Network. I think it's been awesome for me. It's been awesome for the people that have been around me, providing community as well as a sort of, I guess a confidence building solution, sort of like Toastmasters for video producers.
Sure, that's a great way to put it. Yeah. Or as I've heard too, a video support group, right?
So we all commiserate.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the group is meant to be kind of community-based video production is sort of the goal there, right? We learn from each other. We as the company that's putting it on try to provide all the support needed, try to let the community sort of guide where we want to go and so on too. The yeah, I mentioned the network online. It comes with a lot of live events. So we run two live events in the evening that are open to the public per month via Zoom. So anybody can attend, and they're in line with our monthly themes on the network. This month is YouTube month. And so we've got those two. We do office hours once a week for actual members of the network. And then yourself and Barb Olsovsky are kind of beta members of the expert panel, which is a group that we're creating within the network itself to push, kind of expert content that's not from vidwheel itself, but from members of the group who have kind of specific expertise. So Barb's is she's focusing on standard operating procedures and how they can help your video. And I don't know, I can plug yours, or you can, Sean.
Mine's just about learning the experiences of building a podcast. And the Video Creator Network, it gives you that sort of confidence to start doing this, right? You start off, there's like these stages of becoming a content producer, right? First, you got to get over yourself, right? Get over the way you look, get over the way you sound, get over all of those things. And for me, that was one of the best things the VCN was really able to do. And then I just want to be able to pass that along, because it turned from something that was a dreaded activity to something that I absolutely love now, from the gear all the way to just, having these great conversations. And once you relax, this actually is quite a fun activity. So.
Right. Yeah. Can you imagine, if this was what, think about extrapolating it out into the future, and all you're doing is once a month hopping on a podcast, right? And it's all ready to go. It becomes something to look forward to, which I think is what you're getting at there. And I agree, right? Like, I always tell people, well, two things here, I guess. Number one, reaching out to members of the network itself and talking to people who just kind of had video ambitions. The number one thing that held people back was the fear of being on camera, right? So it's the same as in live situations. It's public speaking. Public speaking is always a fear for people. That became our first monthly theme on the network itself, was getting comfortable on camera. And that'll come up, we'll repeat the themes this next year. So that comes up again in August or September. And then the part two of that is, I always tell people that, like, I used to, when we were shooting in person and so on, I would always tell people the first, I don't know, 10 years that I was doing what I did, I would tell people the only way that you can avoid being on camera, for the folks who were, hesitant when they were being forced into it by their boss or something, is to make sure you're behind the camera. That was always my joke. And now I'm on camera myself all the time. It did take, I looked back through our like YouTube channel and everything. It took me over 7 years of running a video production company to actually get in front of the camera. So the fear is there for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So
12 in, and I'm starting to get, my sea legs, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. So that's good. Better late than never, right?
That's right.
And I mean, your podcast has really come along. So it's great to see. I love to see the growth. I love to see the number of different backgrounds you try, all the gear experimentation.
Yeah. It's going to be a pretty expensive hobby. The number one thing for any activity as a business owner, we sort of have to, no matter what we do, jump in with both feet, right? Whether it's a pivot, whether it's committing to a marketing scheme, or a product line, or the launch, or whatever we're doing, we have to commit, right? So like anything, I think this is a good example of that, right?
I think that's a great way to put it, right? Anybody who's looking for the easy button
Yeah.
doesn't exist, right? In it pretty much anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So, especially as a small business owner, though, right? Where you're going to be doing a lot of your own stuff, and it's a great learning experience and a great thing to kind of, I don't know, integrate into your skill set that can be super beneficial going forward.
I agree. And I think we're just also programmed now because of the amount of screen time that we have and all the content that we consume on either YouTube or Facebook videos or Instagram movies and all of this. We are just sort of programmed to take in information. So if we're really good at delivering information on this type of platform, then I think we'll have far more, far better reaching effects on the type of influence that we want to have, no matter what. Right? We're just integrating the same type of mode of information transfer.
Right. You got to speak to people like they prefer to be spoken, or you got to use the right medium, right? And right now, this is definitely a preferred one for a lot of users. So,
like the Schoolhouse Rock, right? We want to teach kids, put the stuff on the Saturday morning cartoons.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. You want to teach kids about how a bill is made, you got to do it in song and dance and animation, right?
That's right. Then baby boomers have the best grammar of all the generations. All right, switching gears. I guess we here at the Love to Own Your Business podcast research team know that you have a hidden talent for geography, right?
Oh, yes. Well, this dates back to my young days, but I do have a bit of a passion for maps. So let's do this thing, Sean.
Did you know that I graduated from college with a cartography degree? Did I tell you that?
Yeah, you have told me that. Yeah. That's why I was real surprised when I asked you. Somebody asked you, maybe.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Eric?
I forgot everything.
Right. Yeah, they asked you if you lived north or south of Main Street, and you didn't know the answer.
No, I have no sense of direction, which is funny because it's, you know what it is though? It's the same thing that happened to me when I started using Excel. I forgot how to add simple numbers. So once I started using Google Maps, I have no idea where I am unless I center in it's the first thing that goes on in the car.
I see. I'll turn on Google Maps just to get the map, right? I won't put in a destination because I kind of, sort of know the way, or I want to find my own way. I don't want to be told necessarily how to get there.
I need another person in my life telling me where to go and directions. But
right.
So our research team has put together some fun trivia questions for you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So let's start with, what is the fastest flowing river in the world? Is it A, the Mississippi, B, the Amazon, or is it Old Man River in Tonawanda?
I'm gonna go with the Mississippi.
Ooh, close. You had a 50-50 chance there.
I know.
It's the Amazon.
I was going to go Old Man River because then I could just pretend it was a joke, and I couldn't get it wrong.
So here's the thing: the Amazon, during the height of the wet season, can reach speeds of up to 4.5 miles an hour.
Oh my goodness! See, I'm referencing movies I've seen because I have never been to the Amazon. And it's pretty docile waterway. So
that's right.
That's what I went off of. Hollywood's lied to me.
You don't see alligators surfing it up, right?
Yeah, right.
It doesn't give me the feeling of the fastest river.
No, but your research team knows better than I do.
That's right.
All right. I'm 0 for 1.
All right, let's switch to. As a geography major, I absolutely know none of these either.
Yeah, I usually do well geography related topics on Jeopardy, but that's
all right. So maybe I should change the way we do the question then.
What is? That won't help me. What is the Amazon?
What is? Yeah. All right. So what country has the most natural lakes? Is it the United States? Is it Canada? Or is it Australia?
I think it's Canada.
You are correct.
Yeah. Canada has a lot of lakes up north.
A lot of lakes.
So many lakes.
So the little tidbit of factoid here is that Canada, 9% of the country is covered in fresh water.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, I didn't know that.
Oh.
You all dug a lot deeper than my cursory knowledge of such
No, but see,
things.
now you can file it on. This is
Yeah.
this is another piece of information for you. All right. Last one. What are the westernmost and easternmost states in the United States? Is it Washington and New York? Is it Alaska and Alaska? Or is it California dreaming and New York state of mind?
Wait a second. Well, I mean, I would go with Maine and Hawaii, but that's,
Well, that's interesting. That wasn't actually given as an option for me. But out of the three again, is it Washington and Pennsylvania? Let's put that one. Is it Alaska and Alaska? Or is it California dreaming and New York state of mind?
So the idea here would be, does Alaska span further than California, New York, or Washington, PA? So I'm going to go California to New York based on Long Island primarily.
I don't think either of those is cold enough. You may want to rethink
Alaska and Alaska. The span of Alaska from end to end is bigger than New York to California. Huh?
Yeah, because parts of Alaska are so far that they actually reach into the Eastern Hemisphere.
Well, that's what I figured, but I thought
state as well.
I thought the Dateline went around Alaska because
they curve it just around there just to keep it in there.
Yeah, that's how I've seen it on maps anyway. But maybe
that's a
not.
Good question, and we'd have to probably consult a real geography professor on this. But do Datelines represent the hemisphere lines, and do they follow?
Oh, that's a great point. Right? Yes. All right. So I was thinking Dateline, the hemisphere line. It does. It definitely crosses over. So, all right. Well, one of three. Maybe we should have picked a different topic.
Alaska. It is Alaska and Alaska.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being a good sport.
Sure.
But as you know, we're here to help people grow their businesses gracefully. So, what's a piece of advice? Our standard questions is that you wish that you would have received over the course of your growing your business that would have helped you avoid a misstep or an unintended detour.
I think it's really counterintuitive early on to narrow your focus, like narrow down in terms of your market, in terms of your products, in terms of who you're serving. But that is the most effective piece of advice that I feel like that I utilize with some regularity. And the more narrow I get, the easier it is to talk about what we're doing, to talk to the right people, to know who you need to speak to. The example I usually use is when I first opened up, we were going to be like, video for the web production. And then I, didn't really know how to get up and running very well. So I started doing graphic design, which I had a background in, and web design and other things. And the wider we got in terms of services, the less efficient I was as a business, right? Because you do too much. Like I always come back to, and this is an overused quote, but there's the Einstein quote with the thing should be as simple as possible and not simpler. Like to find that space where you have made your the vision of your business as simple as possible with as narrow an intention without being so simple that so narrow, so honed in that there's not enough people there to populate your client ranks is it's a tricky balancing act. And I think that is my advice, though. Go narrower than you think, especially at first, to be able to find the right vertical. of people to talk to and of products to focus on and so on.
I like that. There's the niche down concept, right?
Right.
I think as new business owners, we sort of just we try to get so much business that we can as we're starting up. We sort of have to just throw everything on
Right.
the wall. And I think maybe there's a narrow window for that, right? And then once you start getting an idea, you're absolutely right. Let's start narrowing down. That way we can get better at it, put our name to that particular niche, right?
Right.
And then say we are going to be those people that get to do that. So what's a piece of advice that you did receive that helped you along your journey? Someone that said something to you that sparked you and was like, oh, that made all the difference in the world.
Working on your business versus working in your business. Like if you can find the time to build strategy around your business, you can, once again, this comes down to clarity and like knowing what you're going to say and who you're going to talk to and what you're going to sell. Taking the time to do that just makes your business so much more efficient and effective, and can lead to a lot more success. So you got to find ways to do that. And one of the easiest ways to do that is those non-essential tasks, hire them out.
Yep.
And then, just blocking time in your calendar to get it done, because it does end up being the most important piece. It feels like you have to do, like, at least in my business, like I would always be focused on doing production work, getting projects done.
Yep.
But then you're following this kind of meandering path. You're following your nose. Essentially, it's whatever next project pops up versus like trying to find a nice straight path of repeatable successes.
So that's a good point. And it seems to be like everybody seems to know this, this phrase, right? Work on your business. But I find that even with the people that I work with, there's a lot of individuals that they just don't, they can't make that leap from in to on, because a lot of it has to do with trust or delegating and things like that. So maybe the follow-up question I would have for that is, what worked for you in the letting go, right? Especially as a creative person, you sort of have to sort of parse, this person can do as good a work as me, or at least as competent as it needs to be. So if as a creative, you can sort of let go of those things, and somebody who just wants to I got to put this widget together, maybe that piece of advice would be helpful to them.
Yeah, it's certainly easier to do when you don't put your own kind of personal stamp on things. I do think this is something creatives absolutely struggle with. I originally was able to kind of give up some control earlier on, when I just decided to have more of a growth focus versus creating what I always had been creating. More recently, though, since I made this last pivot, it's got to do with time. Watching my kids a lot of the day. We moved into a house during the pandemic. There's a lot of renovation and stuff happening there too. It's just such a constrained amount of time that, if you want to force yourself to let go, just give yourself, a very minimal amount of time to work on your business, and you'll find ways to get people to, help you out with the things that have to be done. That also helps with prioritization, right? Like the little things just fall off a bit, and you just make sure you get the main kind of pillar activities done, and keep moving forward. Creativity is almost inherently not translatable to a lot of traditional business models, right? Like it's hard to quantify. It's hard to, everybody does it, a lot of at least the products that we're in and stuff, they do them all differently. You could give the same person the same brief, 6 months apart, and it's going to end up differently.
McDonald's doesn't want creativity, right?
No.
I think I said this in one of my other stories about my one job where I was let go from McDonald's because I wouldn't star the cheese. So they don't want you to be creative. They want the same damn piece of cheese.
No.
Doesn't matter if it's melted or not.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, they that's a great point. Like that, and it's a super good business model. But yeah, you're never gonna you like, even what, there's that one, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's like a folklore type of thing with the blazing hot Cheetos. Supposedly that was like a janitor. Have you ever heard that story?
No.
So they like maybe opened up, suggestions from the whole company at Cheetos, and the janitor came up with those flaming hot, blazing hot ones. And I don't know, but like, yeah, you won't get that at McDonald's. There's no suggestion box for the employees. It's, get it done in this number of seconds with these ingredients.
Yep.
That's it.
A testament to automation, but not to
Mhm.
creativity. But somebody was creative in the back end of that, right? What if
Sure.
we, put a rack in here that spins the burgers out?
Yeah. Well, there's an executive chef at McDonald's who figures out how to do all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And in theory is making
4 seconds
delicious
off of this,
new
3 seconds
treats.
off of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even the initial like recipes and stuff, right?
Mm.
Now, I'm sure that what they're making at the concept level is probably, I'm just going to make an assumption here, is probably a much higher quality product than what comes out the drive-through window. But, the intention is there, the creativity is there at that level. And then by the time it gets down to being totally commoditized and systemetized, it's probably a shadow of what it was meant to be.
It started out as filet mignon.
Yeah, right.
All right, so to close this out, what is something that you would recommend to the business owner who is starting to prioritize what they want to do in their video feeds? Like, I have this, sort of take stock on what I have, things that they might have lying around their house so that they can start whetting their appetite, and then come to someone like you and say, okay, we can now start doing this kit. And the barrier to entry, and I think you should talk about this, not to do shameless plug number 7.
Yeah,
but
we didn't make it to 100
we
though.
did not make it to 100, but I can mention it like another 99 times on the way out.
Okay.
This, I gotta say, from my own experience, this was the easiest thing. Like, I was not going to make a podcast until you made it absolutely turnkey for me, and I was like, there's absolutely zero excuse not to do this. So, but there's some things lying around the house, right? So let's talk about that.
The most important thing that you can upgrade if you have a budget of 50, 150, somewhere in there, is to upgrade your audio. Adding a USB mic is a great way to get a higher quality feed. Like, it doesn't seem like that's where you'd start, but that is like one of the biggest differences. And then the other thing that is an even cheaper option that'll help you upgrade your feed is lighting. The ring light that I am using here, and the one that comes in our kit, is like a $20 to $30 10-inch LED ring light off of Amazon. It makes a huge difference in terms of lighting, right? So those are, from a gear perspective, those are two of the easiest things to do that are, between the two of them, if you went with the Yeti and one of these ring lights, you'd be $150 deep. And then a lot of the other things that we get into, that next level, right, or like the cameras. You and I are both on the M50 camera. We've got a lot of the bells and whistles that make them kind of really well suited for this type of setup too. But those are the early things. And I do have a video out there which is tied to that webcam coaching that I did a year ago, that we'll link in the description. People can go through there. It goes through how to kind of make your feed work for you. So
thank you. I agree. Like the lighting was it's bonus, right? I mean, it's just everything starts to brighten up, and the sound. To me, sound has always been a big thing. So that was one
yep.
of the biggest things that really made a
And
big difference for me noticeably.
yeah, and ultimately, like, if you're on a video call, that is a call. Like if people can't hear you and you look beautiful, like that, you're not communicating what you need to.
Yeah.
So audio first. Yeah. So
all right, that has been fantastic. Thank you very much again, Neil. Really appreciate it. Always love having you. And let's see. Why don't you tell us how people can get in touch with you?
sure.
And also tell us about the Smarter Business podcast, right? And plug that.
Okay.
And then, yep.
All right. Well, yeah, people can get in touch with me directly at Neil, Neil at vidwheel.com. Shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer. You can find me on LinkedIn pretty easily, Neil Carroll. And if you want to get to the Vidwheel Creator Network directly, it's vcn.vidwheel.com. And Sean brought up the Smarter Business podcast. We do a video podcast as well. It's pretty closely tied to the content that we're pushing out on the Creator Network. So this past month, we had Eric Worrell on, came out April 1st. He's talking YouTube, right? YouTube's the theme of the month. And I'd like to invite everybody to come out to some of our public meetings twice a month on Thursday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern. We hold public meetings that are educational and about kind of creating video content. The next one after this is published is, man, Eric's getting a lot of plugs, is going to be Eric Worrell on the 22nd of April. And Eric is going to talk about, it's a case study in how my oven pays me $789.20 a month.
Yeah.
That's his title. Yeah. So that's going to be a good one if you want to learn how your oven could pay you $789.20 a month.
That's my next goal, is like to make all this residual, income while I sleep based on, producing a bike rack video.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different avenues, and yeah, Eric's going to talk about it in that meeting, and he's got it figured out. He's launching a new channel around it. Yeah, it's a good path to go down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I agree. All right. And if you want to learn more about what we do here at SLC Advisory Group, come visit us at slcadvisorygroup.com. And of course, if you want to make sure that you don't miss any of our content, hit the subscribe button when you do, and we'll let you know when our next episode comes out. And we'll see you again next month. And thank you very much again, Neil.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, anytime.